Today, we're taking a trip all the way to the land down under, Australia. Brisbane is a city that shines brightly under the sun, celebrated for its warm climate, vibrant art scene, and strong community bonds. Nestled along the Brisbane River, this bustling metropolis is known for its unique blend of natural beauty and urban sophistication. The city's landscape is a stunning juxtaposition of lush greenery and modern architecture. From the majestic Story Bridge to the iconic Queensland Cultural Centre, Brisbane's skyline is punctuated by buildings that tell stories of innovation and growth. Visitors often flock to the South Bank Parklands, a sprawling riverside oasis featuring gardens, restaurants, and a beach. Yes, a man-made beach right in the heart of the city. It's a perfect spot for families, couples, and anyone looking to soak up the sun. Brisbane is also a cultural hub, hosting an array of festivals and events throughout the year. The Brisbane Festival, held annually in September, transforms the city into a vibrant showcase of theatre, music, and visual arts, attracting artists and audiences from around the globe. Meanwhile, the city's culinary scene is thriving, with a plethora of dining options ranging from trendy cafes to fine dining restaurants, all celebrating the diverse flavours of Australia. For nature lovers, the nearby Lone Pine Koala Sanctuary offers a unique opportunity to get up close and personal with Australia's native wildlife. Visitors can cuddle a koala, feed kangaroos, and learn about conservation efforts in an environment that emphasises respect for these beloved creatures. Brisbane's climate contributes to its reputation as a city that values outdoor living. The mild winters and hot, humid summers encourage residents to embrace an active lifestyle, whether it's biking along the river, hiking in the surrounding hills, or enjoying picnics in one of the many parks that dot the city. The local community is known for being friendly and welcoming, often engaging in outdoor activities, sports, and markets that celebrate local produce and crafts. Despite its many charms, the city, like any other, has faced its share of challenges. Violent crimes are rare in Brisbane, and the community prides itself on its low crime rates compared to other major cities. The people of Brisbane are generally characterised by their easygoing attitude and strong sense of safety, making incidents of violence particularly shocking when they occur. The local law enforcement agencies work diligently to maintain peace and order, contributing to the city's reputation as a safe place to live and visit. Residents often express a strong sense of pride in their community, and the occasional violent crime can send ripples of fear through the tightly knit neighbourhoods, highlighting the deep-seated values of safety and trust that Brisbaneites hold dear. However, the tranquility of Brisbane was shattered in February 2020, when a horrific crime unfolded that would leave an indelible mark on the city. The tragic events surrounding the Baxter family would not only evoke sorrow, but also ignite conversations about domestic violence and its often hidden presence within even the most seemingly perfect families. As the sun set over the Brisbane skyline that fateful day, the community would soon learn that beneath the surface of their cherished city, a dark and harrowing story was about to unfold. A story that would change lives forever. Hannah Clarke was not just a mother. She was a beacon of love, resilience, and dedication. Born in 1991, she grew up in a family that valued compassion and kindness, laying the groundwork for her nurturing spirit. Friends and family often described Hannah as vibrant and strong, someone who could light up a room with her infectious smile and laughter. Her 3 children, Aaliyah, Laianah, and Trey, were her world. Hannah dedicated herself fully to motherhood, pouring her heart and soul into nurturing her kids, ensuring they felt safe, loved, and supported. Aaliyah, the eldest, was born in 2010. She inherited her mother's charm and vivacity, embodying the playful spirit that Hannah encouraged. Aaliyah was not just a daughter, she was Hannah's little confidant, a bond that deepened with each passing year. Laianah, born in 2012, was the embodiment of curiosity and creativity, often found lost in a world of her imagination. And then there was Trey, born in 2014. The baby of the family, who brought a new sense of joy and purpose to Hannah's life. He was adored by his sisters, and Hannah's heart swelled with pride at their bond. However, Hannah's journey as a mother was fraught with challenges. Her relationship with Rowan Baxter, whom she married in 2019, started off like many romantic tales, with excitement and passion. They welcomed Aaliyah shortly after their wedding, and at first the couple appeared to be living a fairy tale. Rowan seemed charming, his magnetic personality drawing Hannah and others to him. But as the years passed, the facade began to crumble, revealing a more troubling reality. Rowan's controlling nature emerged slowly but surely, creeping into their lives like an unwelcome shadow. He would belittle Hannah, often undermining her confidence and making her second-guess her choices. At first, Hannah brushed off his comments, thinking they were merely his way of helping her improve. But as time went on, these helpful suggestions began to feel more like shackles. He would often check her phone, demanding to know who she was speaking to and where she had been. Friends who had once enjoyed her company noticed a change. The vibrant woman they knew began to withdraw into herself, her laughter becoming scarce as she navigated the storm brewing in her home. Isolation became a weapon in Rowan's arsenal. Hannah's world shrank as he gradually cut her off from friends and family, fostering a deep sense of fear and dependence within her. She felt trapped, torn between her love for her children and the suffocating grip of her husband. The home that was supposed to be a sanctuary turned into a battleground, where every day was a fight for her identity. After enduring years of emotional abuse, Hannah finally summoned the strength to leave Rowan in June 2018, but the separation was not a straightforward path to freedom. Rowan refused to accept the end of their relationship, resorting to intimidation tactics to regain control over Hannah's life. He would show up unannounced, threatening her with manipulative tactics and guilt trips. Hannah's journey was anything but easy. It was marked by uncertainty and fear. Friends observed the toll this had taken on her spirit. Despite the challenges, she remained fiercely protective of her children, determined to provide them with a sense of stability and love that she had longed for in her own life. The cycle of abuse may have changed her, but Hannah's love for her children remained steadfast, a constant beacon guiding her through the darkest times. In the morning that followed her decision to leave, Hannah fought tirelessly to secure her and her children's future, seeking support from various resources and legal channels. Yet Rowan's shadow loomed large, a constant reminder of the dangers she faced. Hannah's bravery in leaving was a testament to her strength, but the struggle for safety was far from over. As Hannah navigated this tumultuous period, she became a symbol of resilience and hope for other women facing similar situations. She often spoke openly about her experiences, seeking to raise awareness about domestic violence and the silent suffering many endure behind closed doors. Her story serves as a reminder that even in the darkest moments, the fight for freedom, safety, and love can prevail. But unbeknownst to Hannah, the very darkness she sought to escape was waiting for her. Rowan was determined to maintain control, willing to go to any lengths to reclaim the family he felt was his. As the community rallied around Hannah, the tension between her and Rowan was building, setting the stage for a tragic confrontation that would ultimately seal the fate of the Baxter family forever. On the morning of February 19, 2020, a sense of dread hung in the air, overshadowing the glimmers of hope that Hannah Clarke had been nurturing. This was not just another day. It was a pivotal moment in her quest for freedom from her estranged husband, Rowan Baxter. Hannah awoke with a heart full of determination and anxiety. After years of living under Rowan's oppressive thumb, she had made the brave decision to take control of her life and her children's future. Today was supposed to be a fresh start. As she moved through the familiar routines of preparing breakfast for her 3 children, Aaliyah, Laianah, and Trey, ready for school, a quiet tension brewed. Little did she know that Rowan was lurking in the shadows, intent on carrying out a horrific act. Hannah's heart raced as she gathered her kids, bustling them towards the family car parked outside their home. The sun shone brightly, illuminating the driveway where she had envisioned a brighter tomorrow for her and her children. But that light was about to be extinguished. Rowan had been watching and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. As Hannah placed her children into the car, a sinister shadow loomed closer. Witnesses reported later how the atmosphere shifted dramatically. One moment, there was a mother lovingly tending to her children. The next, she was the target of a premeditated ambush. Rowan approached with the intensity that would send chills down the spine of anyone who caught sight of him. The horror unfolded in an instant. As Hannah turned her back to secure her children, Rowan lunged forward with a knife, his intentions clear and deadly. Hannah, sensing the danger, let out a terrified scream, a sound filled with desperation and fear. The haunting cry echoed down the street as she turned to face her assailant, her maternal instincts igniting a primal urge to protect her children at all costs. In a shocking twist, Rowan initially fled the scene, driving away as Hannah frantically chased after the vehicle, her heart pounding in her chest. She could not comprehend the magnitude of what was happening. All she knew was that her children were still inside the car, and she had to save them. Witnesses described the chaos that ensued. Bystanders, drawn by Hannah's anguished cries, rushed to help, but the situation escalated far beyond anyone's expectations. Rowan, perhaps feeling concerned or driven by a rage he could no longer contain, made a U-turn, returning to the scene with a terrifying determination. In that moment, the air thickened with dread. The community held its breath, knowing something unspeakable was about to unfold. With a shocking suddenness, Rowan emerged from the vehicle, wielding the knife like a man possessed. He approached Hannah, who had just reached the car, and in a frenzied fit of violence, he stabbed her multiple times. The horrifying sight of blood spraying onto the pavement transformed the ordinary suburban landscape into a scene from a nightmare. Hannah's screams filled the air, punctuated by the unmistakable sound of flesh being cut and the chilling reality of life extinguished too soon. As she collapsed to the ground, clutching her wounds in a futile attempt to stem the tide of crimson that flowed from her body, the horror of the situation intensified. Neighbors who had rushed to help were left in disbelief, their hearts racing as they witnessed the brutality of domestic violence unfold before their eyes. Hannah's life ebbed away as she lay on the cold pavement, the once vibrant mother reduced to a victim of senseless violence. Her blood pooled around her, a stark contrast against the grey asphalt, a visceral reminder of the brutality she had just endured. As first responders arrived on the scene, the gravity of the situation settled in. Despite their best efforts, Hannah succumbed to her injuries, leaving a shattered community in her wake. The aftermath was a scene etched into the minds of those who witnessed it. Hannah's children were left traumatized, innocent victims of their father's horrific actions. The anguish on the faces of those who tried to help, mingled with the sounds of sirens and cries, created a haunting symphony of despair that would linger long after the sirens faded. The sight of Hannah, once full of life and love, lying lifeless on the ground, served as a grim reminder of the deadly consequences of unchecked violence. Rowan Baxter fled the scene, leaving behind a mother who had only wanted to protect her children and create a better life for them. The quiet suburban neighborhood was plunged into chaos, a community grappling with the realization that domestic violence could erupt in even the most unsuspecting of places. Hannah's tragic death ignited discussions on the need for awareness and intervention in domestic abuse situations, urging others to recognize the signs and seek help. As the news spread, the public response was one of shock and outrage. The question lingered: how could a man once seen as a partner and father become a monster capable of such a horrific act? The tragedy of Hannah Clarke became a rallying cry for those advocating against domestic violence, shining a spotlight on the urgent need for change and support for victims. In the end, the brutality of that day would be forever etched in the memories of all who knew Hannah and her children. A life that had so much potential and promise was extinguished in a moment of rage, leaving behind only pain and heartbreak. The news of the Baxter family murder sent shockwaves through Brisbane and across Australia, igniting a national conversation about domestic violence and the tragic consequences it can unleash. The community was left grappling with grief as the heartbreaking story unfolded. Vigils sprung up in various neighborhoods where friends, family, and even strangers gathered to pay their respects to Hannah and her 3 innocent children, Aaliyah, Laianah, and Trey. The memorials served not only as a tribute, but also as a platform to raise awareness about the silent epidemic of domestic abuse that often lurks behind closed doors. In the wake of this tragedy, the emotional toll on those who knew Hannah was palpable. Friends recalled her as a vibrant, loving mother who would do anything for her children. Many expressed disbelief that someone so nurturing could meet such a horrific fate. Local media began to cover the story extensively, painting a vivid picture of the family's life before the tragedy and exposing the warning signs that often accompany domestic violence situations. As the investigation unfolded, police worked tirelessly to piece together the events leading up to that fateful morning. What they discovered about Rowan Baxter was alarming. Described as a charming yet possessive figure, he had a history of controlling behavior that escalated over the years. Authorities uncovered alarming details about Rowan's previous relationships and his patterns of intimidation, which were often ignored or brushed aside. Neighbors and friends began to share their concerns about Rowan's behavior, revealing a man who had transformed from a once beloved partner into a volatile individual consumed by jealousy and rage. Rowan's inability to cope with rejection or loss was highlighted during police interviews, where they learned he had become increasingly agitated as Hannah sought independence. The psychological profiles developed during the investigation painted a grim picture of a man who felt cornered and desperate. Rowan had shown signs of emotional instability, a reality that should have sounded alarm bells, but went unnoticed until it was too late. While the police worked to uncover the full scope of Rowan's actions, the community rallied together, demanding justice for Hannah and her children. Social media campaigns erupted, emphasizing the need for increased awareness about domestic violence and the resources available for those affected. Survivors shared their stories, and organizations focused on supporting victims amplified their efforts. The public outcry grew louder, demanding that lawmakers take action to address the ongoing crisis of domestic violence in Australia. With each passing day, new revelations came to light about the Baxter family. As investigators dug deeper, they found a disturbing pattern of behavior that indicated Rowan had been controlling Hannah long before the tragic events of that day. Friends revealed that Hannah had confided in them about the growing tensions in her relationship, sharing her fears about Rowan's jealousy and possessiveness. She had attempted to seek help, but felt isolated and powerless in the face of his escalating aggression. During the investigation, police also examined Rowan's online activity, revealing troubling messages and searches that pointed to a premeditated intent behind his actions. The authorities discovered that he had researched methods of committing murder and had even looked up legal consequences for homicide. This chilling evidence raised the question, had he planned this act of violence long before it occurred? As public interest in the case continued to grow, local media outlets began running special segments focusing on domestic violence and its impact on families. News reports featured experts discussing the signs of abuse, the psychological impact on victims, and the importance of intervention. The Baxter family tragedy became a pivotal moment in the national conversation about how to better support those experiencing domestic violence and prevent similar incidents from occurring in the future. The emotional response from the community was overwhelming. Many residents who had once felt safe in their neighborhoods were now left questioning their surroundings. How could someone so close to home commit such an atrocity? Parents hugged their children a little tighter. Friends checked in on one another more frequently, and conversations about mental health and emotional well-being became common in casual gatherings. As Hannah's friends and family navigated their grief, they sought to honor her memory. Fundraisers and awareness campaigns were launched in her name, focusing on supporting local shelters for domestic violence victims and providing resources for those in need. The hope was to create a lasting legacy that would bring attention to the issue and offer support to others who might be in similar situations. While the community sought healing, the judicial process began to unfold.
I work in domestic violence and I have for the last 10 years, so when she first confided in me...
The court proceedings were met with intense media scrutiny as the public awaited justice for Hannah and her children. As the trial progressed, details emerged about the day of the murder, further emphasizing the premeditated nature of Rowan's actions and the profound impact of his violent outburst. Throughout the trial, Hannah's family and supporters remained present, advocating for justice and ensuring her story was heard. They wanted the world to know about the loving mother who had dedicated her life to her children, hoping that sharing her story would help others recognize the signs of domestic violence and seek help. The tragedy of the Baxter family murder became more than just a local story. It sparked a national movement to confront the horrors of domestic violence.
When she hung up, or the children hung up, she said to me, "Mum, I feel so bad for him."
And honor the memories of those who lost their lives to it. As the community united in grief, the call for change became louder, and Hannah's legacy as a beacon of hope and awareness continued to grow. As the trial concluded and the world awaited the verdict, one thing was clear. The ripple effects of that tragic day would be felt for years to come. The community's response to the Baxter family tragedy became a testament to resilience, urging everyone to take action against domestic violence and stand up for those who could not stand up for themselves. The memory of Hannah Clarke and her children would live on, forever reminding us of the importance of love, support, and the fight against domestic abuse. The Baxter family murder serves as a stark reminder of the pervasive issue of domestic violence, a problem that affects individuals across all demographics and transcends boundaries. According to the World Health Organization, nearly 1 in 3 women worldwide have experienced physical or sexual violence in their lifetime, often at the hands of an intimate partner. The emotional and physical scars left by such violence can last a lifetime, not only affecting the direct victims, but also creating ripple effects through families and communities. Domestic violence is not just a private issue, it is a societal problem that demands collective attention and action. In many cases, victims find themselves trapped in cycles of abuse, feeling powerless to escape due to fear, financial dependence, or a lack of support. Studies indicate that women are more likely to experience violence during pregnancy, making it critical to identify and address these issues before they escalate into tragedy. The Baxter case illustrates how emotional manipulation, controlling behavior, and isolation can serve as precursors to physical violence. Experts emphasize the importance of recognizing the warning signs of abusive relationships. Some key indicators include isolation from friends and family. Abusers often attempt to cut off their partner's support network, making them increasingly dependent on the abuser. Controlling behavior. This can manifest as monitoring whereabouts, checking phone messages, or dictating what a partner can wear or who they can spend time with. Emotional manipulation. Abusers frequently use guilt, shame, and fear to maintain control, often making the victim feel responsible for the abuser's actions or moods. Escalation of conflicts. A pattern of verbal arguments escalating to physical confrontations should not be ignored. Victims often rationalize these incidents, but they are serious red flags. Threats of violence. Any mention of violence, whether direct or veiled, should be taken seriously. Statements like, "I could hurt you," or "you'll regret this," can be ominous warnings. Recognizing these signs early can be crucial in preventing violence from escalating to fatal levels. However, societal misconceptions about domestic violence often hinder victims from seeking help. Many people believe that abuse is a private issue, or that victims are to blame for their circumstances, which perpetuates the cycle of silence and stigma. The Baxter tragedy emphasizes the urgent need for comprehensive societal responses to domestic violence. This involves not just individual support services, but systematic changes to legal frameworks and community resources. Programs aimed at education, prevention, and support for both victims and perpetrators are essential. Organizations like the National Domestic Violence Hotline and Women's Aid provide resources and guidance for those in abusive situations, but greater community involvement is needed to ensure these resources reach those who need them most. Training for professionals, such as healthcare workers, educators, and law enforcement, is also vital in recognizing the signs of domestic violence and providing appropriate support. Moreover, encouraging open discussions about domestic violence in schools and workplaces can help dismantle the stigma surrounding the issue. By fostering a culture of awareness and understanding, communities can empower victims to seek help and hold abusers accountable.
He's called the police first. The man is able to represent himself as a victim.
While the tragic events of the Baxter family case shed light on the extreme consequences of domestic violence, they also serve as a call to action. It is imperative to recognize the warning signs, challenge societal norms that allow abuse to flourish, and work collectively toward prevention. The journey toward eradicating domestic violence requires commitment from all levels of society, individuals, families, communities, and governments. By working together, we can create a safer environment for everyone, ensuring that no one else suffers the tragic fate of Hannah Clarke and her children. As we close the chapter on this tragic story of the Baxter family, let us remember Hannah for who she truly was, a loving soul who deserved to thrive, not just survive. Her life was cut short by an act of unimaginable violence, but her legacy continues to resonate, reminding us of the urgency of addressing domestic violence. Hannah was a devoted mother, fiercely protective of her children, Aaliyah, Laianah, and Trey. She was a bright light in a world that often felt dark. Her story serves as a rallying cry for families facing similar struggles, urging them to seek help and break free from the cycle of violence. Initiatives like Small Steps for Hannah have emerged as a testament to her memory, aiming to provide support and resources for victims of domestic violence while fostering awareness in communities worldwide. Through education, advocacy, and support, we can honor the memory of the Baxter family by working toward a future where every individual can feel safe and valued in their own home.
And desperately saddened at an unimaginable tragedy that unfolded in the suburbs of Brisbane yesterday.
The impact of their story extends beyond their tragedy, inspiring others to take action, raise their voices, and create change. Let us carry forward the legacy of Hannah and her children by standing together against domestic violence, ensuring that their story becomes a catalyst for hope and healing in our communities. The story of the Baxter family serves as a profound reminder of the complexities of love, loss, and the urgent need for societal change. The tragic events that unfolded highlight not just the personal struggles faced by Hannah and her children, but also the broader issue of domestic violence that plagues families across the globe. As we reflect on this tragedy, let us honor Hannah and her children by advocating for a world free from violence and fear. It's vital that we create spaces where individuals feel safe to speak out and seek help without the stigma attached. Together, we can foster understanding and compassion, ensuring that no one has to endure the silent suffering that Hannah faced.
Force sex on Hannah every night, and if she didn't comply, he would sulk for days and not.
If you or someone you know is in an abusive situation, please reach out for help. Resources are available, and taking that first step can be a lifeline. Remember, breaking the cycle of violence is a collective responsibility, and every voice matters in this fight for change. Thank you for joining us today and exploring this heartbreaking story. If you found this narrative compelling and you want to hear more true crime tales that delve into the complexities of human relationships and the consequences of violence, be sure to check out our channel. We cover similar murder mysteries and domestic violence cases that shed light on these important issues. Together, let's continue the conversation and work towards a safer future for all families.